All right, we are preparing Smile.
Uh-oh.
Hello again, everyone. Hello, hello. We are live now. So I'm going to make sure that I share it from my Facebook page and give people a few minutes to jump on the stream and also be sure to tag you in as well. So, hello, everyone. Oh, thank you, Lord. If you only knew the last time we were supposed to do this, I'm so glad to see this red button light up.
Sean and I are also glad that your red button is lit up.
I second.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, we are live. So awesome, awesome.
Awesome.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, now I need to try to um okay, I turned off. Okay, good. I do see. Okay, good. Good, good, good. We are live, and so I wanted to give you all a couple of minutes to join us. And thank you for tuning in. I'm just so grateful to see this red button. I promise you all. You all. I'm grateful to see the red button.
Yeah.
Mm,
Well, we're happy for you.
yes. Sometimes Facebook and Zoom wants to give me the blues.
Right. Yeah. That's technology.
Okay. And making sure that all is well with. Okay. So, yes, we are still here. Okay.
All right.
Awesome. 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 So, I am Shanquetta Cunningham but if you all are my private page, you know this, of course. But in case you will be watching the replay, I'm Shanquetta Cunningham. And even though this is a special Friday, on Courageous Conversations for Action, I interview local leaders, whether that's in faith based, entrepreneurial, or as for today, our political aspects. And I am beyond elated for Community Conversations to speak with two of our local um, candidates or who happen to be awesome, awesome women who happen to be awesome and fierce Black women that are running for our local city council position and also for state representative. So, with that being said, Courageous Conversations for Action is all about building bridges and having conversations that uh, we need to continue to have in full honesty and transparency in order to move our communities forward in true progress. And these two women will for sure give us a wealth of knowledge and share their platforms about why they are wanting to represent us, why they should represent us. And without further ado, we're going to have them to introduce. So we'll start with Mrs. Shawn Onley, who is running for Arkansas State Representative District 53. So, Mrs. Shawn, will you please introduce yourself?
Well, hello there. Shawn Onley, and as Sean Quetta said, I am running for State Rep District 53. Thank you for the opportunity to share my platform and to introduce myself. I have been in Arkansas for 2 years. My husband and I relocated from Austin, Texas, and I grew up in New Jersey and spent the last 20 years prior to moving here in Austin. And I'm married to my husband, Ron, of 32 years in October. And we have—
That's amazing.
It is.
And we have three awesome young adult daughters who are college students, and our oldest daughter who is an educator. And it's always rough for me when I first start, so excuse me.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I just want to just commend you on the fact that you said 32 years of marriage. Listen, I know that they're professional. Y'all know I consider myself a professional. I just got to add a culture moment. Yes, honey, to this we black does not crack. I just want to say that. Because you had 32 years of marriage.
Yeah.
Listen, look, I just had to add that. Go ahead, beautiful.
Yeah, so yes, we have been married 32 years in October, and we have 3 amazing daughters. And I'm enjoying being a part of the community here in Jonesboro. And what was your initial question?
No, that was it. Just to give us, we're going to get into the heavy lifting of your, platform, but yeah, just to give us an introduction of who you are. So no, that was great. Then the Mrs. Emma Agnew, that's capital THE. So,
girl, you're a mess. Well, I am the Mrs. Emma Agnew, as Shanquella likes to call me. And I moved to Jonesboro with my husband in 2000, the year of 2000. I have, since I've been here, I've always worked in the service industry of some type. But my husband and I have a blended family of 5 children, 12 grandchildren, and 4 great-grandchildren, believe it or not. And my husband pastors Carter Temple CME Church, the Reverend Elijah Agnew. And so that's where we attend church. We are both community servants. We believe in serving the community. I grew up in a household where our parents raised us to be considerate. They raised us to understand. And I like to say that they taught us to have common sense, but I don't know if that's something you can really teach or not. But, we have a fair amount of common sense for figuring things out and understanding things. And so I love the city of Jonesboro. So I've been here 20 years and I've met quite a few people, been involved in a number of organizations since that time. And I'm just looking forward to represent the citizens at another level.
Awesome. And so we can dive right into that, Mrs. Emma. You both, with both of you, so both of you can answer the
Your
question.
volume went way down. I can barely hear you.
I'm sorry. Both of you here are, can you hear me now?
A little better.
Yeah.
Okay. What about now?
It's a little low. It's still low.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to just try to elevate.
We'll just have to lean in.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you. It's just low.
Right.
The volume is just low.
Okay. I do hear something in the background, and so I was trying to see if that was on my end. But if I have to repeat the question, please let me know.
Okay.
So, but going back to both of you all are transplants here, and what was that catalyst to say, hey, this is the time to where I need to jump in and represent the community? Like, the time is now. You're not originally from here, and so many people lead with that, though, especially when they're running for office. They will say, well, I've been in the community for 4 generations, but you all are saying, hey, I am here, I love this community, and so I want to serve. And so what made you say, hey, I'm not a native, but I can represent this community well, I can represent this state well? So what was that catalyst for you, Miss Emma?
Well, the catalyst for me was actually having worked in the community for so long and being involved and seeing what some of the needs are. And during this time right now, this is such a fluid time in our country right now, and indeed our state and our city. And, you know, with this backdrop of COVID-19 and all this unrest and protest and violence and racism, it just seemed like now is the time for people who have been talking the talk to actually get out and walk the walk. And so I have always encouraged other people to get involved, get engaged, be civic minded. And so when this opportunity came up, especially with so much going on, I just thought that this is the time. This is the time for me to move and step forward and offer my services to the community of Jonesboro.
Awesome, awesome. Mrs. Shine. So again, you are new here. Can you all hear me well?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, okay. You are newer here, but a transplant. But you came here and you said, "Hey, I want to hit the ground running and represent the state of Arkansas." So, what was your push?
I think my push was the fact that I felt like Emma that everyone needed to be represented, and I didn't feel that that representation was there. That some of the community is represented, but not all of the community. That we're not red, we're not blue, but we are a community of people and that
Yes.
deserved representation. I noticed that there were a lot of loopholes in the laws, or that there weren't laws that needed to be that we needed to institute some legislate, some bills that that represent everyone, that make sure
Right.
that we're all safe. And I've been involved in politics for over 20 years. I've served in various capacities with my party. And of course, I've been involved in elections as, a judge, et cetera. And I just felt when I got here, I had been asked to run over the years in other states that I had lived in, and I wasn't quite ready, but I saw the need when I got here. And like Emma said, with the political environment that we're in now, it's time to step up, and rather than be behind the scenes complaining about what isn't right, what needs to be done, I thought that I could lend my experience where I had, I'd worked for some of the best private law firms for over 20 years as a legal secretary and as a legal assistant. And I just thought I could lend the knowledge that I gained there. I could use, I understand legalese, I understand legal documents. And so I thought, I need to lend my talent. I need to use, not lend, but I need to use what I've learned to represent the people of my district. And
Awesome. And what's your district area? So for district, because I know when people look at state representatives and they see numbers, many people are like, hey, they don't even probably know what that actually means or where that location is. So for District 53, could you tell us what's the area of representation?
So I'm glad that you asked that question. So District 53 includes the northeast section of Jonesboro. So it's behind the mall in the airport area, Hilltop. It is Brookland, Black Oak, Caraway, Lake City, and Monette. Hope I didn't forget another six.
Wow, I can only imagine then you trying to canvas in that area as far as running for state office. So yeah, that is a lot. And Mrs. Emma, you are running for Ward 1, position 2. Did I get that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so what's your area? Even though I know Jonesboro has at-large elections,
right,
and they have the opportunity to do ward, but nonetheless,
mm-hmm.
but what area does that position covers?
Okay. That position, and I'll be very candid, haven't totally gotten it down yet. It's a whole paragraph. Okay.
Yes, I've looked on the site. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but basically, it's Parker Road,
Okay.
kind of out by Walmart on Parker Road, and then it goes down to Southwest Drive, and from Southwest Drive down Nettleton to Culver House, and then Culver House down along the railroad tracks, something like that. So it takes in, quite a bit around Anycamp, Nettleton, like I said, the Walmart on Parker Road, portions of Culver House, portions of downtown. So it takes in quite a bit of territory.
Service area. Yeah, yeah. Okay. And so with both of you, again, you're running and you're wanting to add all the value and experience that you bring from your professional side to just being community based and community minded. What do you see, Ms. Emma? We can start with you. So, what do you see as the most pressing issues to which you are using for your platform as you are going out and you're telling people, hey, this is what I want to do when I get in office. These are the issues I'm going to fight for. And so what are those pressing issues for you?
Oh, I have so many. A lot of my issues actually fall under quality of life.
Okay.
But first, I'd like to say one of my big issues is diversity and inclusion for the city of Jonesboro. And I think this has been highlighted over the years. I would actually be the first Black woman elected to an office in the city of Jonesboro.
What? Say that again for the people.
I would be the first Black woman elected to an office in the city of Jonesboro. And this is 2020.
Yeah.
And so diversity inclusion is a big thing. Our boards and commissions are all white. There may be one or two, Black folk sprinkled within, but they are predominantly white, those boards that are appointed by our city leaders. Mm-hmm. And so those things need to change. The hiring practices, not only in city government, but a lot of our large corporations here need to change. There just needs to be a shift in the diversity and inclusion. I mentioned that I moved here in the year 2000, and this is not the Jonesboro of 2000. When I came here in 2000, the Black population was at about 5%, and the Hispanic population was less than that. And so now the Black population is at just over 19%, about 8% Hispanic. So, you have a minority population of over 25%. And that's just not reflected. And so I think more needs to be done. It's going to take someone who is willing to push that more be done to be inclusive. And so I want to say that first. But other than that, it's just a quality of life throughout the city for everyone. Because and what the city of Jonesboro has to realize is that until everyone is able to live up to their full potential and live a good quality of life, the city of Jonesboro is never going to be all that it can be.
Right.
I mean, the city has so much potential. It's just like watching a child that is so bright and so smart and has so much potential, but you can't get them to do their homework and turn their assignments in on time. And so that's what I see in Jonesboro. Jonesboro's got to start doing their homework and turn their assignments in on time so we can be all that we can be. And so, under that is housing, infrastructure, community and economic development and education, and all of those things fall under quality of life. Indeed. And so those are the areas that I hope the city moving forward would be willing to focus on, and that I certainly will be pushing to help develop whatever ideas surrounding those are presented. In another area that's always shocked me is the lack of successful Black-owned businesses in Jonesboro.
Yeah.
You start looking at Black-owned businesses who are able to employ and hire people.
Yeah.
It's a shame, and I think the city needs to look at making that more accessible for more small businesses to develop, or more businesses to grow. And so I think that's another area that really needs to be
Awesome.
looked into.
Awesome. And I think that's integral to, as you said, a lot of people are afraid of diversity
Mhm.
because a lot of that is really and it's more fear of the loss of power,
Mhm.
um, more than anything, because it's definitely not uh, it's
Mhm.
not, a fear of you're going to lose your family or your financial security. No, it rests in the fact that it's traditional power.
And
And
I do
so
want to,
that
yeah,
needs to be shifted for
I
sure.
do want to add one more thing. And when we talk about diversity, we're not just talking about race. I mean,
Yes.
diversity encompasses age, it encompasses background, it
Hmm.
encompasses income levels, it
Education.
encompasses
Hmm.
culture. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So it's just not, we generally think of Black, white, and maybe brown, but it encompasses so much more than that. And the way that you get a full complement of what is really needed is when you talk to people across the boards, where you have a very diverse group of people in the room.
Indeed, indeed. So, Mrs. Sean, now, so if you're elected as well from this area, you would be, you would also, your election would also be historic.
That's
Again, 2020, you would be the first elected woman and Black woman to serve for that district. Is that correct?
you're correct.
Yes. So listen to those that are watching that these are historic times, and the support and getting behind our candidates, it's so crucial. And so I know a lot of the same things and platforms that with Ms. Emma have with that, the quality of life and diversity, that's important. But also I know that you're very particular when it comes down to details, and you y'all, let me tell you something. When it comes down, y'all think that I thought I was a perfectionist. Like, I don't even think I can equate myself to Mrs. Sean only. So when you when it comes to knowing what's on the ballot, different laws, and again, taking her professional background to doing her research, this is so refreshing because, again, we are so accustomed to people representing without the accountability. We have people that miss votes, or you asking for clarity. They can't tell you where we're at and what's what. And so I I think what's refreshing with your campaign, what I see is that being very detail oriented, and then saying, hey, this is what does not need to happen. And this is how I'm going to fight for these issues. So with that being said, would you share with us what some of the pressing issues and concerns that you see that should you be elected, that you are going to fight for the citizens of Arkansas?
Well, although I have my platform issues or items that I think need to be addressed, like education and training and economic development and growth, and having minimum housing standards, et cetera. I think that we have been impacted by this coronavirus and the tornado that we had in March. So those
Mm-hmm.
sort of taken, they're front and center right now
Yes.
for us to concentrate on, because yeah, we can talk about economic growth and development, but we lost a lot of business as a result of the tornado. People have lost their jobs, and we just had so many changes and unforeseen things that have impacted us greatly. And
Yeah.
and so I think that the pressing issues are, getting rid of the status quo. I mean, we continue to elect the same party, the same people, and what do they do when they
Mm.
are in those positions? I have no conflicts of interest. My only interest is in making sure that uh, we all have quality of life. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think that we really need to address um, the tornado, the businesses that we lost, the coronavirus that caused so many people to lose their jobs, and our children, heading back to school and trying to figure out that part of it, if for education, and then we have we have what some would say is a college town. We've got A-State right here.
Mm-hmm.
And what opportunities do these graduating professionals, these students have? What professional opportunities will they have available to them? And we really want to keep them here in this area. We don't want them going off to the other parts of the state that get more money, where our tax dollars are, taken elsewhere. And so I think that those are, and then we also have, NYIT, the med school that's here. And that's really the primary reason why my husband and I relocated here, was because he is an assistant professor with NYIT, graduating, new doctors, and we want them to remain here. But if we don't have the infrastructure and we don't have the opportunity here, then where are they going to go? So those are the kinds of things that we need to address. And, legislatively, there are things that, as Emma mentioned, that we are having to address now, with what's not even recent. These have been things that have been going on for some time with the injustice that happened. And so some of the legislative things that I would want to address are like our gun laws, and how we, and citizens arrest, things like that, or, chokeholds, dealing with the injustices. But, for the people in district, I mean, we're talking about really kitchen table issues that we need to really focus on. And, we want to get people back to work. No one wants to sit home. No one wants their kid, doing virtual learning. But so there's some immediate things that we need to address before we can start talking about doing, really growing our economy in this district.
Yeah. I think that's often missed. Those were some great points that even now with your election. So, and as you stated, Ms. Sean, that there's our kitchen table issues, basically those things we need to handle right now. But we don't focus on them, and we skip to already just trying to build the house, or worry about that. And I equate that to your races. So people are, just concerned about who we are electing, for president and vice president, but not giving attention to the laws that immediately take effect and have impact on your life from the state or from the city. Like those things are the kitchen table offices and positions that we need to be just as concerned with, as you're concerned with national elections, because again, these are those immediate things. And so, and there, of course, your races are probably highlighted more because it's a presidential year. But it's sad that honestly, we do go out and ask who are our councilmen, who are our state representatives. Let's just be honest. Many people do not know.
Right.
Like, and that's why it's so easy for people to get reelected because they have they're campaigning off of nothingness. Like it's just
they campaign off nothing.
they don't have to, but you all have to work so hard to enter a space to where you're preparing yourself for.
Right.
Because, again, traditionalism, and then people have this idea of who should be a leader. And that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because if the world is seeing anything right now, we've always known this, and we had this little spouts of progress in which they were all good, but like, man, to see Black women lead, to see Black women run, like, this is not just a trend. This is going to be the norm. And so to have you two represented in that space, I think is just so great. So Ms. Emma, I want to ask, with your campaign, it's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's what are the integral parts you need in order for you to be successful? What are the integral things that you need right now for people to say, hey, you know what, I want to get engaged. Here's how I can get engaged with locally and with your campaign specifically.
Okay. Well, of course, any campaign needs a lot of volunteers. To run a successful campaign, you can't do it by yourself. You need volunteers, people who are willing to get on the phone and phone bank for you, calling people, asking them to vote for you, people who are willing to write postcards for you, people who are willing to go door to door and leave push cards or knock on the door and tell people about you with this pandemic, that's a little sketchy right now, but they, leave push cards and then also people to put out yard signs. People just mouth to mouth, I think is a great way for people to help. If you can't do any of that, you can tell your neighbor and your family to vote for Emma Agnew, vote for Sean Only, vote for Reggie Prunty. He's a Black male who's running. But
and Miss Carolyn Lewis.
Carolyn Lewis, vote for Carolyn Lewis. So, I mean, if you can't do nothing else, you can at least do that.
Yes.
If you see them out in the yard, just start a conversation and say, who do you like for such and such? I like so and so, of course, beyond that, we always need money. So, everybody is not able to contribute. So you can always volunteer if you can't contribute. If you can do both contribute and volunteer, that's awesome. But everyone doesn't have to donate money. If you're not in that position, then volunteer. But, and I think Sean will agree that every little bit helps, whether it's $5, $10, it adds up. Because it does take money to run, these signs and this printing and advertising, it's also expensive. And, but anyway.
I'm sure the prices go up during this time for everything that would be normally priced.
That's what I hear, because I don't have any need for yard signs when I'm not running, right? So, but anyway, so, people volunteer, is what we, what we need. We need volunteers.
Awesome. Mrs. Sean, would you concur and can add to that?
I don't know that there's anything that I can add. I think Emma covered it all. We need volunteers, and I know that often people mean well when they say, "Oh yeah, I'll do X," but I need you. Sometimes people will say, I want to, hey, I'll do postcards, but postcards may not be exactly what I need at this moment, So, and we appreciate every volunteer because, you're giving your time, but we do need volunteers. I mean, Emma and I, we can be one-woman shows for sure. We can do, as women, we know how to work and things on our own, but, I'd rather have a team of people helping us, volunteers. And I think also getting involved in the campaign is just really knowing your candidates and to know what we stand for, and just making an informed decision about who's running. So yeah, just the phone banking, the yard and street signs, because we're down to what, 60 days. I mean, before you know it, election day will be here,
Right.
and Emma and I will be running around like a chicken with our head cut off, trying to get these signs, trying to make sure that everybody knows, who we are and what we stand for. So, yes.
So can anyone get signs for you? So what if someone say, "Hey, I want to start with right now, getting a sign to place it in my yard." How does that go? And how can they contact you to do that?
Well, I, of course, have my Facebook page, and it's Sean Only HD53. They can also give me a call at 870-397-8300. They can send me a message. They can contact the Democratic Party and find out how to reach us. But we're definitely, we welcome all the help that we can get.
Awesome. And so, Miss Emma, if someone say, "Hey, I want to start right there. I want to sign to this way, and I want to join and work with you in your campaign," how can people do that?
Oh, well, they can contact me. Also, I have a Facebook page. They can inbox me through Messenger, reach out to me on Facebook, and email. Also, I have a webpage. I have published my webpage. It is not 100%, but it's close. And it is agnewforcouncil.com. So they can reach out through my website, and also they can give me a call as well at 870-931-8248. If they would like a sign. My signs are not in yet. I'm expecting them next week. And so I've been asking people, trying to get a little jump on it, and asking people to message me their address and phone number if they know they want a sign, so we can get started on it as soon as they come in.
Awesome.
The other way that they can help us is if they know of locations, great locations for us to place our signs, so that everyone knows that we're running. That would be really helpful too. If you've got a business and you're comfortable allowing us to place a sign in your business or in front of your business, that would be fantastic.
Oh, and one more, very important, I don't want to forget this. If you are not registered or know someone who's not registered, let's register to vote, or get them registered to vote. If you can't vote for us, you can't, you're not going to be able to help us in that way. And so it's very important, and not only us, but for the people who on the ticket, who you feel like represent who you are and what's best for you. And so you want to be able to use your voice to translate that message that, this person represents my ideals and who I am and what I think should be happening.
I think that's so important that you said that. And well, let me backtrack and say, and if you have questions about voting, I just did a whole hour conversation with Miss Jennifer Clack at 3 p.m. That's on my Facebook page. And so if you have questions about voting, how to register to vote, absentee voting, go check that video out.
Yeah.
Shameless plug. But Eric did that, well, in conjunction, of course, of moderating for my chapter, my sorority chapter. But I think, going back to what you said, Ms. Emma, voting and adding yourself into the conversation, we have to realize that these are all part of wins. To where we may not be the person that's in these seats, we may not be the councilwoman, we may not be the state representative for Arkansas, but that vote is a win. It's a collective win. And let's just think about it. The reason why many people are not running in these positions because you don't want to be that person. But vote for those people who want to go and deal with the headaches and the processes of local and state politics. They want to do this. And so we can at least do our part and vote and help them get to the victory, because, again, they are women running and they are Black women running. We know the data supports, this is not hypothetical or fake news, that the data supports that typically Black women campaigns are underfunded and they are under supported. And that's because we've come to normalize who we think leaders should be and how they should look. But again, to be reflective of our community and to then also giving people in different groups a chance. I think that's another thing too. Like, give people a chance. To either meet or, not meet your expectations. But you got to get them in the office. And so I think that's a beautiful thing. You all are, to do this, I admire you, of course, on so many levels for that. And so, but I want to go back to Ms. Sean was talking about, we're women. We're used to basically being in multiple roles, at the same time. I call it the great blend. It's not a balance, because my scales, 5 kids, they're like this at times, but it's that blend of responsibility. So, with that, because I wanted to just speak to a lot of the misconceptions that if women get in office, they have too many things going on. Can you speak to why actually with women in office, we're probably the best representation of getting things done because of what we have to do? But, Mrs. Sean, want to go for it?
Frankly, women can do anything, and we do it all because we're great at multitasking and we're very resourceful. So, while I appreciate any great leader, regardless of gender, history has shown us that many current politicians, congressmen, and the president are making a mess of their community, the state, and our country. And, there are those who profess to love and care about our country, about our children, our family, our homes, but they institute laws that keep women in check and as second-class citizens. So, and they're willing to jeopardize our children's safety and the lives of the parents, and they're destroying our environment and destroying our economy, and callously killing off our seniors and ruining any progress that we have made with civility and equity and equality and peace, and they leave no hope for our children's future. So that is why it's so important that we have women at the helm, because we know how to fix things accordingly and not just put a Band-Aid on it.
Right.
And again, we're resourceful and we're multitaskers, and it's in us to of everyone as a whole, and not and everything isn't guided by finances first, and humanity.
That's good.
First, and then okay, how are we gonna manage this? How are we gonna make this happen for all of us? And I think we think for the good of everyone, and not selfishly. We're very selfless. So I think that's why it's time for more women to be at the helm, and it's time for me to be a state rep, and for Emma to be on, city councilwoman, and for Carolyn to be, justice of the peace. So
yes, that is awesome. Mr. Emma, would you like to add anything? That's great. Awesome.
I can't think of anything to add. I think she covered it all, covered what I was thinking about saying. As generally women who lead a household are accustomed to doing the things she said, multitasking, raising a family, working a job, taking care of kids, taking care of the household, doing all those things. So yeah, I just concur with what Sean said. I won't mess it up by trying to add something different.
Also, no, that was really great, and I definitely concurred. So as we are just winding down, I would like to ask each of you. Uh, People are again watching this and then saying, "Hey, I wanted to connect. I want to support." Uh, and I'm hearing your platforms, and so just if someone was standing right here in your face and say, just hey, I just give me 60 seconds again of why you're running and what you purpose to do with the responsibility of our vote. I think it's a privilege to represent. I consider it, and especially someone who one day desires to be where you're at, even in the run, right? But it's a privilege to be in those positions. So for that person to say, hey, just refresh us again and remind us why the vote for Mrs. Emma and Agnew and for Mrs. Shun is vital in what you are purposing to do with that responsibility once you're elected.
Okay. Well, I would say that I am running because I think it's time to make a change in Jonesboro. I think it's time for Jonesboro to be more diverse and inclusive, not only about its elected positions, but about the city in general, about making sure all its citizens are included so that Jonesboro can come to its full potential. And so I would just encourage people to vote. I have the background of reaching across, being a bridge builder and advocate, reaching across lines and reaching people of all backgrounds and positions. And I would love to do that at the city council level, to be an advocate for the city, for the citizens of the city, and for the city government. So if elected, that's will be my role.
Awesome. Mrs. Shun.
So again, I'm running because I know it sounds cliche, but we need to get rid of the status quo, and we need representation of all of the people, not some of the people, not those who are Democrats or those who are Republican. We need representation of all of the people, and there are just so many things that we need to get into the 21st century. We need to be competitive, and I don't feel that we are competitive. If you were to look at our education and our health and just those basic things, the core of who we are, what we need, we're sort of, not sort of, we are at the bottom. I mean, we need a healthy community. We've got our infrastructure is just crumbling in front of us. And
Yes.
what have those who are currently in power or planning to be in power, what is their plan? What have they done? They haven't done anything but I hate to say line their own pockets, but they've used the
Gotcha.
system
Yeah.
that they often like to say that other people are taking advantage. They need to bootstrap it. Well, they have been bootstrapping it. They have been trying. Every
Yeah.
time you think that you're doing what you're told. Okay, you need to get an education. Okay, check. I need to be a good upstanding member of my community. Check. I need all these things, but the bar keeps changing. And so, we need someone who's going to represent the interest of everyone in the community and not discount people based on whatever they're basing it on, but to give, but for not give, but for everyone to have the same opportunity, to have equity and equality. And so that represent, and in order to do that, you know, you need someone, you need, not someone, you need me to represent.
Yes.
You need me to represent your interest and make sure that when legislation is being passed or it's being amended, that someone is reading those things. And I'm capable of, not capable, I know how to read legal documents. I spent over 20 years, again, with some of the top law firms in the country that have international presence. And so, and also I'm I'm a no nonsense kind of person. And, you know, some people might not like that, but, you know, these good old boys, you know, when we get in the room, we all need to have a seat at the table. And,
yeah.
And so, and if you don't have a seat at the table, you need me to represent you to make sure that your interests are being addressed, and that the loopholes that we have in the laws and the failure of not having certain laws in place, you know, it's just everything is still based on a handshake or
right.
no longer exist. I mean, you cannot trust that. And so so that's why I'm running, because I want to make sure that that my interest, that the interest of my community, of everyone in my community, is represented.
Awesome. Look, that's a drop mic moment. Listen. No, I am. I will say this, as again, it's my pleasure just to have this conversation with you two. You are women leaders, and they are phenomenal. I remember when I met Mrs. Emma, first met Mrs. Emma, she on the first and only magazine that was dedicated to highlighting, supporting minority businesses and nonprofits and things that were going on. She has entrepreneurship background, and then from private sector to public sector. You all know she's represented and said with different commissions and nonprofits, the president of the NAACP. And, you know, meeting Mrs. Sean, just hearing her professional background, how they came here and her husband, they're invested in Jonesboro and growing the next generation of leaders here, and have daughters that are planted in college, and just being a great example of a woman that's family oriented, but yet also knows that she adds value to the community. I look at that as assets, and I hope everyone get to see the same thing that I see in you two, of value, of integrity, of just of wanting more, and then getting in the trenches to do that. It's so easy for people to sit here and criticize what they are not willing to do, and to be in the fight to where you are already against the ropes. But these two women, they're Layla Ali's in the professional world. Okay. I assure you.
One other thing, because I think it's important regarding voting.
Yes, ma'am.
There are three ballot issues that we really need to stay on top of. And it's the HJR 1018, which is about levying the 0.5% sales and use tax, which will be used for the highways and the county roads and city streets. And like I've told you before, I don't appreciate driving on crumbling streets. You know, my tax,
none of us
see, you know, my infrastructure being addressed. And then there's SJR 15 for term limits. And then there's the one that is really important, HJR 1008, the amendment to the Arkansas Constitution to amend the process for how we petition. So if you're, let's say, for instance, if well, we won't use me as an example, but if you're, if Dan Sullivan or someone isn't isn't introducing a bill that is important to you, that you think your community needs, you know, the citizens can petition for it, but they're changing how the petitions are done. And it's just like, you not only have to jump through the hoops, I mean, you're going to have to run a few miles to make it happen, and you've got to have a certain amount of money, etc. And then there's the other thing, we need to be very, we need to make sure that people know, if you opt to do an absentee, to submit an application for absentee ballot, you cannot vote twice, as your commander-in-chief told you. You can only vote once. And if you do opt to get the absentee ballot, you cannot then turn around and say, oh, I'm not sure if my ballot made it, so let me vote just to be on the safe side. No, that is a felony.
That is your vote. Yeah.
And the other thing, last thing, is about felons. We need to make sure I've met a lot of people, not a lot of people, but I've met some people in the community who weren't sure about their status, whether they can vote or not. You know, just because you have a felony does not mean that you cannot vote if you've paid your debt to society, etc. And so you can call the county clerk's office at 870-933-4520 and confirm if you are eligible to vote. That is just so important.
Yes. Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It is. In order to get involved in the process, none of this means anything if people do not vote. So again, and going back to what I said about the particulars, this is Mr. Sean Only. and this is exactly the people that we need, because if you're like me, I love the condensed version of all of that work. You know, one day I want to write them, but for right now, I want to take the luxury. It's like, she will do this for us, y'all, and give us the 3-sentence synopsis of a 20-page bill. So I'm here for it.
But listen, I know how to do my homework, and I know, and I will be thorough about reading every bill and making sure that there isn't something thrown in there that's going to just totally screw it up, like, you know, stand your ground. So
yeah. And both of you are integral in pushing for that with Mrs. Emma with the NAACP, and your work with Ms. Shawn with Moms Demand Action. Again, these are just testaments in speaking to the validity of who you are as women and running for office, and why people should support you, because you've already done the pre-work of serving us. It's just that now you want to take it to a higher level. And that's and so this is why, y'all, we have to get out and vote, and we have to support. So I thank you again. I can just go on and on about how phenomenal and great you are. Thank you just so much for joining me on today, giving me another opportunity, y'all. We were supposed to do this a few weeks ago. It did not pan out, and they were so gracious. They were so gracious, and I had to get it right this time. It was a wrap. So I am the Lord and the host. We're on our side. So thank you all again. Remember, Mrs. Emma Agnew can be found on Facebook. Is it Agnew for Council? Your page, and then Ms. Shawn Only, it's your full, it's your name candidate for State Representative 53.
Shawn Only, HD
53, yes. And so please go and connect, follow them on social media, share their posts. A lot of things we're already doing, so we can take 10 seconds to do something that's, you know, for a worthier cause. I'm not saying you're strolling is not, but come on. But all right. Thank you all again. Thank you so much, Facebook, for tuning in. I appreciate it. This is Courageous Conversations for Action, where we're having conversations, meaningful conversations with some meaningful people. And so thank you, Mrs. Emma and Mrs. Shawn, for joining me on today. You all have a great Friday and a great weekend. It's a 3-day weekend. You all weren't doing anything, so thank you for joining.
Thank you for having me, Shanquetta. Appreciate it.
I'm stopping the live stream now. Thank you.